Oh, Lydia's finally here, and man, is she cool. I'm really loving this character. It feels like not too long ago, I just made a video before Tekken 8 was even announced talking about Lidia, why I wanted to see her back in Tekken 8, how to me she felt like a Tekken 8 character in Tekken 7, and here she is, finally. Some of you may have even come from that video, in which case, hi! Some of you also may have come from the short I just recently made about Back 1, because that blew up for some reason. In which case, hi to all of you who are interested in Lidia, interested in playing Lidia, whether you came from those videos or not. I'm here to give you a little bit of a beginner guide on the character. The first time I record this, it ended up being over an hour. There's a lot to talk about with this character. I'm re-recording it because I want to give something very short, concise to get you started with the character, get an understanding of a little bit more of the things that aren't so obvious. And hey, if you want to see some live Lidia gameplay from a higher level player like me and a Lidia main, feel free to check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Sesujin. It's in the description and in the pinned comment. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's start with the most bare bones stuff, punishment, right? So 1-2-2, 1-2-2 plus 8 puts you into stance for a free mix-up. What do you get out of the stance for mix-up? You can do 4 and then go in the wolf stance. And then when you press 4 and go in the wolf stance, you have the low and you're plus 8. And being plus 8 after this means that after this you can do 3-1 if you think they're gonna press for counter hit. And then if you just want to mix up with a mid because you don't think they're gonna press and you're just gonna duck, you got the 2, it's 15 frames. That's basically going to be your mix up every time you go in to wolf stance. The other thing you can do out of 1-1-2 is 1 here, and that's going to be 17 frames. It's going to be a mid that's safe, -8, and I can't actually do that from there, but it'll knock down, it'll actually balcony break, which is quite nice. If you want fast counter hit mid, because you think they're gonna hit a button, you can press 1+2, you get a guaranteed wolf 2 after it. And that's going to be the basics of how you mix up in wolf. Now, there are other things as well. Very important to note is the 3. The 3 is your fastest move in wolf stance. So if you think for some reason that they're going to hit a button here, after you go into the stance, you can go in there. Also, if you go in the wolf stance manually, 3 is a great option as well for trying to get into heat. Next punish is going to be 2-2. This is your I-11 punish that is also going to put you in the same stance. We're going to have the same mix-ups as we said from before. This is also quite good because it wall splats. So at the wall, we can just do 2-2 and then 2-2 and then back 3-4 core circle 4-1+2 for 62 damage. Super simple bare bones combo. If you want something a little bit more, you can do this into double core circle forward 2-2 back forward 4-1+2. Although this is much harder. There we go for 69. 12 frame punch is going to be forward 2-4, and that's going to wall splat. And for your wall combo here, it's going to be more or less the same thing for 72. Very strong. For 14, you're going to have forward 1+2, 3-1+2. This is Political Storm. It does not wall splat like it did in Tekken 7. And you can actually hit confirm this move. So forward 1+2, 3. And then you have enough time to hit confirm the last hit. The 3 after this is -13. The last hit's launch punishable. So if you're going to throw this out neutral, which is pretty alright, make sure you are hit confirming the last hit and just keep it at -13. And then finally, the last punish is going to be a new one for Lidia. Before, her 15 frame punch was, of course, hot kick, and the combo here is more or less the same. If I could actually get it right. For about 60 damage. But now for 15 frames, she has 3-2. Very cool. So she actually has an actual 15 frame punish. And if you want a super easy combo for this one, there you go, and that's a serviceable 63 damage. Now, if you want the more advanced combo, here's the more advanced combo. There you go, and that's 82. So if you want something a little bit more advanced, that's going to be a lot better. But it's harder because you have to go into Wolf 2, and that means you have to be on point with that actually hitting. And if you're just kind of throwing this out neutral, you might not have enough time to actually be able to confirm that last hit into Wolf before the combo just drops. And in which case, I recommend really going for something more like that. Well, I accidentally fat fingered grab, but I really recommend going for the down back 2 route here because it's just going to save you a lot of headache. And if you do the double close circle forward 2, you can still get a lot of damage with 68. It's just going to be hard to do the under. All right, for while rising punishes, while rising forward 2 is going to put you at stance at +A, and then it's just going to be the same as we talked about before. For 12 frames, you have front crouch down forward 2, which is a heat engager. Very, very, very strong punish. You should be using this a lot. 13 frame, you have while rising 1-2. That puts you into stance, and this is actually +11 instead of +8, but again, we're basically getting the same mix up here. And if you want the wall, then you can do while rising 1-4, and that's going to wall splat. Actually, balcony breaks, and then you get full combo from there. For 14 frames, you have while rising 3, and then you get a forward 1+2 here. If I could actually do the thing, there you go. And then for 15, you have while rising 2, and a combo is for while rising 2 is going to look something like this. I didn't get the blue spark there, but yeah, it's about 70-ish damage. So there you go. And that's it for all of Lydia's punishment. Now let's move on to heat engagers. And Lidia only has one real heat engager. Back 1. All of the other heat engagers that she has are going to be like punishes, like her front crouch down forward 2 or political storm. And then she only has 2 other heat engagers besides that. She has cat stance 3, which you absolutely can throw out in neutral like this. But more often than not, you're going to be hitting this by the opponent hitting a button after, say, a blocked down forward 2. And then you also have horse stance. I'm trying to remember the name of this stance because they changed it. Horse stance 2, which is great because it puts you in heaven and earth. It gives you a stack of that, but it is -10 on block. It's a mid, and you have other mid options as well. So you're not always going to be using it. A lot of the time for this one, because this is guaranteed off of counter hit forward 2, that's where you're going to be hitting it from. So the only real heat engager you're consistently using in neutral is back 1. And this goes back to the short that I made a while ago. I got a lot of views, and that's why quite a few of you are here. How good is this heat engager? Well, let me tell you a couple things about this heat engager, because it is a very good move. But it's not as good as we were led to believe it was, because IGN lied to us. So the main part of this move is that it is +2 on block. And the important part about this is that you can do forward 2 after it, which is a 13 frame move. And then it creates a situation where if they're doing like a 13 frame move and you have the execution for it, they're going to die. Right, because then that's going to be counter hit. You're going to get the 2, you're going to get the heat engager anyway. It's very, very good. And even on block, this is +5, and the 1 is going to be any jab option except down jab. And the way that you beat the down jab is with the 3 out of this stance. So that's what makes Lydia's +2 so good. And then if they're looking out for this again, or they're looking out for the forward 2, or any of her other really good mids, then of course you have health speed. And if you think that they're going to jab after this, then you have down 2, because down 2 counter hit leads in the front crouch down forward 2, which gives you your heat engager anyway. So basically, your back 2 heat engager is leading you into a lot of situations where you can get another heat engager opportunity off of a counter hit move or another move. So that's why it's very good. The reason why IGN lied to us is because if we actually go to the wall here, it does not wall stagger like the IGN guy said it did. He probably confused it for wall splat, which is a very different meaning. Or maybe they just changed it between the developer build or the press build and the live build, but this does not wall stun. It is just +2 always, which makes it not the best heat engager in the game. So I was wrong. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, so now let's talk about a few of her key moves. So one thing I want to bring up is Lydia's biggest weakness probably, sidestep. She's very linear. Key moves like back 1, back 3, don't hit, but her down forward 1 tracks to her weak side. Now her down forward 1 is -5 on block, which is a problem, but having a fast mid that tracks to her weak side is very good. Sometimes the second hit will also just whiff if they sidestep the first one like that, so that can be a bit of a problem. But her down forward 1 is very good for catching sidestep. She has a bunch of other homing moves as well that are very good, like core circle forward 4, for example, which catches sidestep. The problem with this move is actually its range. Its range is quite poor, so you really have to be in the opponent's face in order for this to work. Like, you have to block something like forward 2, like Jinrikazu's forward 2, and then think they're gonna step and then have this work. But it is +1 on block, so it's still good in its own right. Back 4 is also a good one, -3, +6 on counter hit. This move is going to knock down for a guaranteed down 1+2. It's quite good. And then if you need a mid, you have down forward 30+4, very good. And then her down back 3 is homing, and her down 2 also tracks, but it is -4 on hit, so it's not that good for that kind of thing. So all of her homing moves are going to be key moves in that regard. Other moves that I think are very, very good, 3+4. Look at the range on this move. This move is hitting from about range 4. It still has the tracking issue. It's not going to track to sidestep right, but the range on it basically means that if you're out here, your opponent isn't sidestepping, Lidia just wins neutral on the spot by using this move. It's very, very good. Other good long range moves, back 3. So back 3, the back 3 sequence is now natural on normal hit, as you can see, which is extremely good. The problem with it though is that the full thing is -15, so that's not good, but this is still going to serve really well as a long range whiff punish, because Lydia's whiff punishment when it comes to her standing moves is not very strong, so being able to use that as a whiff punish, very, very good. Good keep out tool as well, which is back 3, because back 3-1 gives you political storm guaranteed on counter hit. Very, very strong move. Going back a little bit to the tracking, out here you have Lydia's running moves. So you have running 1, you can mix this up with running 3. Both of these +6 on block, by the way, so your opponent can't just duck it. This is kind of an Elisa situation, actually, where you have to sidewalk both moves. However, she also has running 2. So forward 2 also has a running version that gives a blue spark, and the implication that this has is that this can track sidestepping, because it's essentially delaying and you're realigning with the opponent when you do the forward 2, because you're running at them. When you run at the opponent, you realign with them, and because in Tekken 8 you can run a little bit into them, it means if they sidestep, it can realign. That doesn't mean forward 2 or running 2 is homing though. If they have the right timing on it, then they will still sidestep it. But if you try to realign with them, if you do the running while they're sidestepping, that will realign and will track them sidestep right, so that can be very good as well. And it's also just a really good way to mix up the opponent when you're running at them in neutral out here. One last move that Lidia has that's extremely good out at this range is actually up 3. Look at the range on up 3. It's not quite that much, but it's about here. Now, they can tech roll out of that, so you don't get a guaranteed follow-up afterwards, but it does balcony break, very long range, mid, low crushes, basically just wins you neutral on the spot, and is 25 frames. So some other key moves that she has, down forward 1, of course. Down forward 1 is -5. Down forward 1-2 is going to be natural on normal hit, which is very good. And then she also has a mid out of this. She has down forward 1-3, and you can delay it. It's -13, but the second hit is a counter hit launcher. So if your opponent isn't respecting your frames, even though this is -5, which is quite bad, because you have that mid launcher, it means that your opponent is going to have to respect this at least a bit, because if they don't, then they're going to get hit. I just slapped her instead of doing the combo, but that means that they're going to get hit and they're going to take a lot of damage. So the down forward 1 is actually quite nice. She has another move that's like this as well. Back 2-3, second hit also a counter hit launcher, -10 as opposed to -9, like it was in Tekken 7. It's not as good though, because it doesn't track to a weak side as it did in Tekken 7, and she doesn't have the high extension anymore. And this is -9 on block instead of, I think, -6 it was in Tekken 7. So it's not quite as good, but it still has the same idea. I think the last key move I want to talk about here for the beginner guide is going to be down forward 4-3. This move is insane. So this move is a very long range, high full launcher, and you even have enough time to be able to do this. Yeah, so you get the full like 80-90 damage combo. $85 damage. Crazy move. You'd say, well, what is this on block? Surely it's not that great on block. It is +8 and does chip damage. Insane move. Crazy move. So those are the key moves I want to talk about. One thing about this move I should mention is that she does the same noises down forward 4, because it's down forward 4 slide 3. So your opponent might be able to tell that you're doing this move, and if they do, him with a down forward 4. mix them up a little bit. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about how her stances work, because her stances are important because the frame data is a little bit weird. So when she goes into the stance, it takes her 9 frames to get out of the stance. So up until the 8th frame, she can't block. So essentially, take whatever number this is and subtract 8 from it, and that's what this is on block. So this says 0, it's effectively -8. Her hop kick says -5, it's effectively -13. She'll block on the 14th frame. It's a very important thing to keep in mind. This actually changes though when she goes into heat, because having an earth stance she can do from any of her stances, and it takes 5 frames to be able to go into heaven and earth. So she will parry on frame 5. So what that means is, like hop kick for example, because she parries on frame 5. I think I said she goes into stance on frame 5. She goes into stance on frame 4. So she parries on frame 5. So this means if you hop kick and the opponent does jab afterwards, as I'll demonstrate, it actually gets parried, as you can see, which means that your hop kick is kind of safe. Now, this isn't foolproof because you can, of course, get grabbed out of this because it is a parry, so you have to be mindful of that. But it means that your hop kick is more safe than it was before, because if they're just doing 13 frame punish, then you're going to parry them and then you're going to get a free mix of heaven and earth. Makes it very good, and that's why in heat it's very important to raise your heaven and earth meter, because the more you raise it, the less heat it costs to go on the heaven and earth, which means the more times you get to do stuff like hop kick or forward 4-2 into that stance and then force a really, really powerful mix up out of it. And now let's look a little bit at her defensive tools, and then the main thing here I'm talking about is parry. So the reason why the parries are important for Lidia is because her armor move is kind of bad. Her back 1+2 is mid, -13, doesn't really do a whole lot. Oh god. You can see it does 25 damage. It wall breaks, which is quite nice, but it's not doing a lot. It's kind of slow, 20 frames. And so that's why she has the parry. Now, the parry is only punch parry. It's very important to remember it's only punch parry. So if you're playing against wall wrong, good luck. But she also has up 1, up back 1, up forward 1, whatever. And when you parry something off of this, now this is only a high parry, but when you parry something off of this, it does put it back in stance, which is the same stance that we saw before. Again, like I said, cat, this is going to be the stance you're going to be seeing the most. The only time you really don't is off of forward 4-2, and actually core circle forward 1+2 2, which is the only one that puts you in both stands, but that's a whole nother thing. And then you of course have the low parry kick. Now, all of these parries start in frame 5. Important to note. And why that's important to note is because a lot of these moves Lidia has that transitions into stance are 0. The only one that's plus is forward 2. And that means that they're all effectively -8, which means that you cannot parry after these get blocked. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to be clever and I'm going to parry because I think they're going to jab me because they want to jab me out of the stance, while I understand what you're trying to do and I like it, that's not how it works. you can't do that, unfortunately, unless they do like a 15 frame move that's a punch, in which case it's a down forward 2, and for a lot of characters you just punish that. So that's going to be all of the basics, and there is a lot more I want to talk about with this character. There's a lot to this character. I barely even went into the stances. I didn't go a lot into how the character actually functions, how the player, but I wanted to make this as a shorter, concise, getting started guide with Lidia, because like I said, when I tried recording this the first time, it was like an hour and 20 minutes long. It was insane because there is so much to talk about with this character. There's so much to do, and I'm going to be playing her a lot. I'm going to be learning her a lot, and I think she is a very high skill ceiling character. She has a lot you could do with her, but she's very, very fun. I've played quite a lot with her thus far, and I've had a absolute amazing time, and a lot of this game I haven't really, so it's not par for the course for me, and I'm enjoying her. I'll probably make another video at some point, maybe when I know the character a little bit more, an intermediate guide, a little bit more in depth with the character. But for now, this is going to do it. I hope you found this helpful, and hey, if you want to see a Lidia stream, if you want to see some games, feel free to stop by my Twitch channel. Again, it's twitch.tv/Sesujin. It's in the description and it's in the pinned comment, or just feel free to subscribe. And I'll be posting Lidia gameplay, fingers crossed I actually am able to get to it, on this channel in the near future. So, thank you for watching. Again, I hope this helped you, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.